Leader of the Raleigh-Durham chapter, and you are joining the session called Empowering Your Requesting. And of course, I'm going to start with some requests. I have a couple requests for you first. One is some people have, I'm giving this workshop quite a few places these days, and it's possible some of you have already seen it, which is fine. If that's the case, I want you to look for something deeper this time. And I also request that you think about how to share this to a wider circle. Let's get all kinds of CCO people with empowering requests that will help all of us. And then for everyone, I have two requests. One, we're going to be writing something in a couple minutes. So will you please put something in front of you where you can take some notes, write some things. It could be, the old-fashioned paper and something to write with, or texting something, or entering it into laptop or whatever. But get that set up for yourself and then look up at your screen so we know that you're ready to go. And I'll give you a minute here, a second. Yeah, we'll be writing. Okay, and then the last thing I want to ask of you before we get started is, I want your full attention. This is an interactive session. It's experiential learning. For you to just hear me while you're doing other things or distracted by other things, it's not really going to be worth your time. So I ask for you to give me your full attention for 35 minutes or so, and I promise you it will be worth your while. So take all those, snacks that you're nibbling on and other things maybe you're multitasking with, and just zoom in with me and let's go. Okay, cool.
Jean, can I just ask you, do you want me to leave the chat open, or shall we close that for now so that people focus?
Yeah, let's close it. That would be great. Thank you. No distractions. Why not? Why tempt ourselves, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so this session is about empowering your requesting. So first, let's look at requesting. CCL is an organization that's mostly volunteers, and there's some background noise. So can you put people on mute? That would be good.
Should all be muted, actually.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, we run on requests. If you think about it, we're asking volunteers to do things. We're asking for endorsements. We're asking for help, for input, that sort of thing. You could just say that the fuel in our tank these days is requests, asking. And if you think about this, it applies to a lot more than just your CCO work. Asking is all over your life. You ask, honey, will you do the dishes tonight? Or please take out the trash? Or yeah, there's asking like all over your life in every aspect of it. And there's also the absence of asking. Have you ever thought about that? And you know what that looks like? It looks like fatigue. It looks like isolation.
I think, Jean, you've just been muted.
And also, did you hear me now? What isolation, what the absence of asks looks like is, yeah, overwhelm, burnout, and sometimes procrastination, and then small results. So yeah, the asking and then the absence of asking is present in our CCO work and also all over our lives. So, I look around here and I think about the people who would come to a regional conference and the people who volunteer for Citizens Climate Lobby. You're all accomplished people, experienced people, smart people, dedicated people. You have some skill in asking. We're not like starting from zero. You've got some level of skill and some level of mastery. So this is about empowering you further from wherever you are. So the other thing about asking is when you have it and you've removed some of the barriers to asking, you start having things like more of what you want. In your CCO work, you start having teams that really work together. You start having a chapter that hums. You start having people to support the Energy Innovation Act, more of them. And the other thing that happens when you have asking going on and with like fluidity and ease, you have teamwork. You have people who enjoy working together, who get that experience that we're all in this together. There's something very rewarding about that. And you get that by making requests. So, okay, let's get on with it. This is about empowering your requesting. So the first thing we're going to talk about after what we just did here is empowerment. What does empowerment look like? Well, it always starts with getting aware of what is already going on. So looking at what is going on now, and as best we can, looking at it without judgment, as best we can. So this means the stuff that you see that looks wrong, I mean, ease up on that wrong thing and look at it like a scientist would look at it. Like, hey, what's going on here? This is working, that's not working. Same thing with the stuff that looks right to you. Okay, you can like feel good about it, but actually you should kind of ease up on that too. What's going on here with the stuff that looks quote unquote right? What is happening? So the world of empowerment starts with observing. So I'm going to ask you to do some observing. I want you to think of a time for yourself when you had some challenging asks to make. Yeah, maybe you were looking for volunteers for your chapter's activities. Maybe you had to make cold calls to community leaders to start seeking endorsements. But I want you to picture yourself in front of your computer or staring at your phone, and you need to make some important requests that are demanding or tricky or difficult. So start tuning into yourself in this situation. And how is this for you? Are you excited? Are you dreading it? Are you tolerating it? Are you powering through it? What's going on? So whatever it is, now I want you to take out that stuff to write with. And I want you to start putting it down. What is this like for you? Your thoughts, your feelings, and I'm going to go quiet for a minute while you just think about this. What is it like when you have some challenging asks in front of you? What's going on in your head? What's going on in your body? What's going on in your feelings? I'll be quiet and let you write. By the way, I'm not going to ask you to share this. It's only for you. So don't worry, put it all down. Keep going. I want you to see what this is like for you. I want you to see what's going on about your requesting now. Write down everything. Be honest with yourself. This is private. Maybe you even want to, kind of close your eyes and look deeply inside. What are you saying to yourself about this? Even those things your mother said, you should never even think this or say it to anybody, get those down too. Okay, and look back in the corner of your mind. There's one little one left that just sort of danced back there for just a moment. Get that one down too. Everything. Let's get it all down. And then look up when you're finished. Okay, start wrapping up and then we're going to come back together. Okay, good work, everyone. I see people really engaged with this, and that's exactly fulfilling what I asked you in the beginning. So thank you for that. See, in the world of empowerment, we start to see what has been running us under the covers, so to speak. And we see it as best we can without judgment. So look over what you wrote. Just look at all that. As you find yourself feeling bad about any of it, okay, stop that. You didn't violate any of the 10 commandments or do anything illegal or unethical. You're just seeing your humanity up close and personal. And developing yourself to see yourself as you are, that is a very powerful capacity. Developing yourself to see yourself as you are. Very powerful. Seeing how other people are, it doesn't make a difference for you. Actually, it doesn't make a difference for them either. What makes a difference is when you see yourself. That's the source of empowerment. So can you unmute people? Well, how are we going to do this? Anyway, I want to hear some people say, now that you look over what you wrote, what do you see from it so far? Just what are your, like, you know, give us a $30,000 30,000 foot view. Somebody's going to call on people. Can I call on Jane?
Mary Jane.
Okay, Mary Jane, go for it. Nope, you're on mute.
Okay. It was really.
You went on mute again.
1 second. That was my
Mary
meeting.
Jane, you're on mute again, please. Can you
1
unmute
second.
yourself?
Yannick, just, it's
There you go.
okay, let me deal with it.
Okay.
Mary Jane is still on mute. She has to unmute herself. Mary Jane, can you unmute? You can't unmute yourself?
You should be able to now, just try again.
Try again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It was really interesting. I didn't want to do it. And the first step was resistant. And then I suddenly realized there are 3 phases for me for making requests. One is before I ask. I don't want to. I'm intimidated. I'm frustrated. When I'm actually doing it, it's fun. It's empowering. And afterwards, there's 2 possible reactions. One is I'm thinking forward, action oriented, and pleased with myself and with others. I realize that occasionally it's really frustrating and hurtful, not because of the way people respond to the request, but because of others are criticizing or diminishing my effort. So that if people I'm working with are like, what's the point? Even if I don't get anybody to help, I'm okay with that. But when other people I work with are saying, I told you it was a waste of time, that's really diminishing for me.
Okay.
But the during and after feels really good.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's great. Let's hear from some others.
Anyone who wants to speak can unmute themselves, or who's called on can unmute themselves.
And I can't see everybody, so why don't you just start speaking? Anybody?
This is Patty, and I see myself before the process as feeling kind of like a bowl of jello. You know, I don't feel confident, but I think the tip about become aware of what's happening around you and within the issue before you start is a confidence builder. So I always try to do my hardest tasks in the morning because I find that that's easiest for me. And then when I just sit down and do it, there is that sense of accomplishment, and the outcome, it is, you know, positive or negative. And even if it's negative, at least I've tried.
Yeah. Okay, great. And we have time for one more. I can't see anybody, so
No, you could either raise your hand or you just unmute yourself and speak.
Les, oh, go ahead. Who's that?
Bob Voss.
Oh, okay. I like to speak. Yes. Well, what I find, like, I think most people, I'll be nervous and feel challenged, but I know that if I put all my, put a lot of energy into formulating my request, and when I get in the room, focus on the person or people rather than on myself, that really helps a lot, because then once I start, then I'm more concerned that they hear what I have to say, how they're going to benefit from my request,
Yeah,
and not be worried about, I think as Mary Jane or the last person who spoke said, not be worried about whether I'm going to be rejected or not, just knowing that I did my best to convey to them why my request is as important to them as it is to me.
yeah, yeah, that's great. Okay, good. So, isn't it interesting, all the chatter that we have going on about asking in the various phases of it and the various, aspects of other people's comments to us or opinions or judgments, I guess I'll say, about what we're doing. And of course, the person we're asking. So there's a lot of swirl of stuff going on around making requests. So, here's what we say about requests. And you don't have to take anything down in notes. They're going to, in the chat afterwards, is going to be the link to a handout that pretty much has everything I'm going to say for the rest of the time here. So it'll be there for you to use as you wish going forward. So let me say this. What we say about requesting is getting into the other person's world with respect and compassion. It's making your request clear and specific and giving it a time frame. It's asking for everything you want. It's letting go of your prediction of their response. And it's letting go of your attachment to their response and allowing them full freedom to accept, decline, and counteroffer. So there was a lot in there. I'm going to go over that again. Requesting is getting into the other person's world with respect and compassion. It's making your request clear and specific. It's giving it a time frame. It's asking for everything you want. It's letting go of your prediction of their response, and it's letting go of your attachment to their response and allowing them full freedom to accept, decline, or counteroffer. So try on that you don't already do these things. If you say, oh, I already do all that, and I've got this part in, there's no space for you to get anything. There's no space for anything to come in. Try on, put your beginner's point of view on for this. And try on that there's something in here for you that will move you to a higher skill level with your asks. And I'm going to give you the kitchen sink about requests, a lot of pointers. And I ask that you find at least one that calls to you and incorporate that into your asking style and see what happens. As I said, you're going to get this entire list in a handout for you to take home with you, so to speak, take home. Funny, we say that these days. Okay, so the first point is be clear about what you seek and ask for 100% of it. Sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But a lot of times, especially if we're under duress or in a tight spot, we get confused or we're not clear. I know I need help, but I don't know exactly what to ask for. So yeah, spend some time with yourself. I like to write some things down or really think about what exactly do I want to ask for. But if I had that, it would make, my situation here go in the direction that I want it to go. And sometimes you only get one shot at making your request, like a cold call for an endorsement, getting in the door. Sometimes you just have that one shot, so you need to really be clear. So the next idea is Be clear about the end you're seeking and the outcome, and don't get attached to the means. I mean, for example, maybe you want a co-leader for your grass tops team. But what you're really seeking is a way to share the activities of a grass tops leader. And that can be done a number of ways. You can have a partial leader, you can have a leader in training, you can have a person who handles one target group, you can have a small steering committee, you can have someone do the part of the activities that they're drawn to, etc. So open up your view of what it's going to take to get you what you want. Yeah, while you're clear about your objective, let the means be something that happens in a dance with you and the people that you ask. Number 3, avoid the pitfall of thinking you know what they will say. Or like they're too busy, they're too important, they're too disinterested to say yes. Can you see? I mean, that is really a big disempowerment to predict. You cut people off from even the possibility of being your partners in something. It's very limiting to you. So ease up on your predictions. You can't really predict. You often don't really know what's going on over there. And you empower and actually honor people when you make requests of them, especially, an effective request. And especially also if you give them the space to fully choose how to respond. So yeah, so ask. So next pointer, I like to think of requests like a drive-in window at a fast food place. There's one world on one side of that window, the busy restaurant with all the food being prepared and the people, up at the service desk and taking people's money and all that sort of thing. And then you've got the people in the car who are hungry. Maybe they've been waiting in line. Maybe they're hot. Maybe these days, maybe they're cold, and they're anxious to get something to eat. And, think of requests as a boundary between two worlds where people are interested in having a satisfying and effective experience in the exchange. So what that means is that you don't have to give all of your reasons for what the request or the reply is, and they don't either. If you make an effective request, you can be clear about what you want. They can say yes, no, counteroffer, and it can all be low drama. And a lot of times it's very quick. Next pointer. A good request is not necessarily a request that someone says yes to. A good request is one where you got into the other person's world as best you could. You asked for something clearly and specifically. You gave them a timeline to respond. And it's a good request when the other person is fully satisfied with their choice to accept, decline, or counteroffer. Yeah, when they're fully satisfied with their choice. Okay, so you also want to take your ask to the person who can do something about it. It is so easy to complain to other people about how tired you are or how weary you are. That's a missing ask, and that's not going to do anything. So take the requests to people who can do something about it. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Has anybody found at least one thing that you can use going forward? And if so, put your hand up. Let me see. Found something of use? Yes, let me look at the gallery here. Okay, okay, great. Okay, good. All right, so there's more. There's more coming. All right. So, next pointer. Provide the space for a genuine reply. This kind of have to train the people around you about this, especially people you're asking on a regular basis, maybe. The space for a genuine reply is that no is okay with you. And, declines are actually powerful. They tell you where not to go. And they to get a genuine no is a real gift. For a lot of people, it's not easy to decline. In our society, it's not easy to decline. So you can actually thank them for being straight with you, that it's not working for them or whatever. And also, honor their no. And yeah, sometimes we're tempted to try to talk them into something, but just honor their no, and yeah, try elsewhere, at least for now. Next pointer. Here are some phrases that can be used to ease into the full request. And one phrase is, this is an opportunity to. Another phrase, would you consider? Another one, would you be willing to? And another is, can you have it to me by such and such a time? Okay, the next pointer is an example of a good request. Asking for a liaison. This particular CCL chapter has 1,000+ members, and the request was made via a mass email. Here's the backstory. In the world of the asker, there had been developing angst over not finding a liaison after multiple individuals over several weeks had been asked and there were no takers. So this email was crafted to go beyond. When you ask via email, you need to pay special attention about the email title. You want it to entice the people who might be interested in your email to open the email. So here is the example. The title was Seeking a CCL Lobbying Volunteer. 5 words. Seeking a CCL lobbying volunteer. The body. Dear friends, dear CCL friends, an immediate and short-term lobbying opportunity has opened up for those in District 1, Tayika Jefferson's district. This is a way to try your hand at working directly with Representative Jefferson's staff, specifically to set up a CCL lobbying appointment for December Lobby Day, and then invite CCL people to be part of that lobby meeting. If you would be willing to serve in this capacity over the next month or so, please let me know by Friday noon. If you have never done this before, Amy Bennett, CCL's Director of Congressional Liaisons and Lobby Days, will walk you through the process and provide support. Please consider volunteering. Thanks a million. Okay, so notice how it got into the world of the people being asked and left out all the drama in the askers world. Yeah, of the like, okay, we really need somebody soon. That didn't show up. Notice how, and also a lot of new people coming into chapters these days, they're interested in lobbying. So we made sure that it was an opportunity for lobbying that showed up in this example. So notice that the example was clear and specific. It asked for everything. It gave a timeline for a reply. And maybe you heard the words opportunity and would you be willing? So the results of this particular ask were that 996 people either ignored the request or declined it. But 4 volunteers accepted, 3 of whom had not yet been active in the chapter. Okay, number 10, drink of water. When you have some asks to make, it's normal to experience discomfort or fear or resistance or procrastination. It's normal. Although it does get easier as you develop your mastery in asking, it's not unusual to have to push through something sometimes to make your ask. So that's the time to bring courage to your asking. And courage is feeling those negative feelings and taking the action anyway. So just do it, just ask. And the last pointer is, if you are asking in person or via phone calls, it can help to lower the negative feelings if you write up a script for yourself ahead of time. Pay special attention to the opening line. So that's how you're going to pivot into the topic where you make your request. Not that you follow your script word for word, but you have developed clearly what you're going to ask for. Maybe you've come up with some phrases you will use. And, it helps you to be clear and, focused when it gets time to make the request. I think it's fine to have the piece of paper in front of you when you are talking to the person. Again, you're not going to follow it word for word, but you'll have some ideas down there for yourself. Okay, as I said, this is the kitchen sink of ideas. So there's a lot in here. Pick one, start using it, see what happens. Okay, I'd like to now have people comment on what stood out for you in all of this. What did you see from this kitchen sink? Who wants to say? Ann Huberman, can I ask you to unmute yourself? What did you see?
I don't have a good answer at the moment, so I think it'd be better to go to someone else. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. How about John?
Nickel John, yes. Sure, happy to share a thought. When we did the first exercise of just writing down, how you respond to a challenging ask, one of the things I noticed about myself is that I get attached to outcome. And pretty common, pretty human to feel you're making an ask, there's a certain response that you're looking for and you get attached to outcome. But one of your tips it was to let go of outcome. And I think it's a really important point. And so that was one of the ones that stood out for me.
Yeah, great. Okay, how about somebody else? Let's see, hang on a second. What can I see here? Michael O'Hara, how about you? Unmute yourself, please. Hello, Michael. Okay, we have some people with hands up. Saw some people with hands up. Louise, you're on mute.
I liked your statement.
Okay.
A good request is that you get into another person's world. I like to make calls to volunteers and encourage my volunteers to call people and just say, first, whether or not they have time. Say you want to talk for a couple minutes and then say, thanks for signing up. Tell me about yourself. Met the most wonderful people. So I like to start with that if I have time for that. And find out what their skills and occupations and hopes are and so on. And then asking them to do something that relates to something that, I like to write. Hey, we can use some LTEs, So I'm very flexible about what I'm going to ask. And I often come up with it during the conversation in those instances.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, put yourself on the other side of the conversation, see what you see that's over there, and then take it into account. Again, none of these is rocket science, but they make a difference. Julia, Steve, Lawson, please. And you're on mute. You're on mute.
That button, I don't know why we forget to do that. It's in the lower corner. That's why I'm always looking to the right. That the concept of allowing a space for a genuine reply, I thought that was really important. When I worked with volunteers and those people I knew, so this wouldn't be applied in every one, but I'd often, when I'd call them to ask them to come and volunteer, I'd say first, hey, it's me. Don't hesitate to say no if you can't do this. I certainly wouldn't do that necessarily if I was calling legislators right on.
Right.
I know, but yes, that concept I think is really important.
Yeah.
That really resonated and reminded me.
Yeah, and you can tell people in your, in your group, always feel free to accept, decline, or counter offer. Maybe you can do part of it, or maybe you've got another idea that you think would answer the same thing. Yeah, we can talk back and forth and see. Those are easy ways of putting a lot of flexibility, yeah, and people listening and coordinating each other with each other. Okay. All right, so in the handout, we're putting a link to the document that has all of the kitchen sink that I went through here. And if you found today's session helpful, you might be interested in a full program called the Empowerment Partnership Program that's designed to empower CCL leaders in requesting and a lot of other of the capacities needed for CCL's work. It involves experiential learning, tools for empowerment, and lots of opportunities to use the tools in a real world situation over 26 weeks of 1 hour a week. So if you want to hear more, you can contact me. My email is both in the document that's in the handout, and did it just get to everybody in the chat?
Yes, it's in the chat.
Okay, jeanrightalk@gmail.com. So thank you all for your attention. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for being in CCL with me. This is quite a time. I hope you have your seatbelt fastened firmly. Here we go. And yeah, empower your asking. Let's do it.
Thank you, Jean.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much.
Welcome.